Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mark's Day's Creative Differences, a monthly live stream where I talk to writer friends about the little things that make a big difference to their craft and careers, in the hope that we can give readers some insight to the creative process and writers and other creative folk some practical advice they can actually use. I'm Mark Stay, author, screenwriter and podcaster, and if you're joining us live, feel free to ask questions in the comments and take part in the conversation. A big thank you as always to Dominic Currie for his jingle. Let's hear it again. Now, just to say, there is a special episode of Creative Differences coming up that was recorded with Julie Wassmer live at the Staines Library Hub. Doesn't have quite the same ring as live at the Hollywood Bowl or Nebworth, but it was a really lively chat as part of the Escalate Arts Festival, and you won't want to miss it because it's not only Julie sharing her wisdom from writing on shows like EastEnders and creating the Whitstable Pearl Mysteries, but there's also a lovely bit with some horses, which you won't want to miss. And also, I just want to bring you up to date because it has been noted that in the last few episodes, I've had a really, really squeaky chair. And I mean, Emily, you pointed this out, didn't you? It was coming up on all the edits. I have put some spray on lubricant. Stop sniggering at the back on this, and it's sort of it is squeaking less. It's not squeaking as much, is it? But for some reason, ever since I've done that, it started sinking. So if I start sinking halfway through the show, that's why. Anyway, get that out of the way. Let's introduce my very, very special guest. My guest is a best-selling humorous women's fiction author whose books are inspired by her own struggle to juggle a career with children, housework, life admin, and the never-ending laundry. And the laundry is winning, apparently. Let's ask her about that. It's only that Kathleen Whyman. Kathleen, how are you?
Just so you know, if there's any weird noises, it's a squeaky chair. I'm just getting that out there now.
So, yes, not my joints or anything. Yeah.
Ready.
Thank you so much for joining us. You've got an amazing new book out. Our absolute pleasure. Your new book is The Hero, the mother of all comebacks, right? And the hero is Becca. Yes. And she's come to a pivotal moment in her life. Tell us more about Becca and the mother of all comebacks.
Okay, I've just noticed that available is spelled incorrectly on the graphic that the publisher made. And they didn't write that it was available in audiobook either. But aside from that, it's very professional.
Fix that in post, Emily. Fix that in post.
No, it's not you. I think that was actually from Amazon.
No,
page
we'll fix
it.
Don't worry, we'll fix it. We'll shame the publisher, and we'll fix it and make it right. Well spotted.
Right, yes. So Becca is midlife mum whose only child has just gone to uni, so she's got empty nest syndrome. She and because her daughter Sophie isn't around, she's starting to realise that she and her husband don't have as much in common as they did when they first got together. So that's a bit of a concern. Then she gets made redundant at work and she faces ageism trying to find a new job. Then her mum has a fall and fractures her wrist, so she has to move in with her. Now, believe it or not, this is actually a comedy, but these are all issues that I think a lot of midlife women are facing. Hopefully not all of them in one go, but thank you, Emily, for fixing that. That looks better. Yes, so relatable. That's the word I hear most often with my books, but done in a humorous way.
Absolutely. I mean, when I write about personal stuff, and I do, but it's usually I fold it in with magic and witchcraft and dragons, but it's there if you go looking for it. But you're writing about personal stuff. It's set very much in the real world with a character that's your age, and readers are going to assume that you're drawing from your own life. So does that ever, in a way that they wouldn't with me, so you're sort of putting your head over the parapet there. Does that ever cause problems for you?
My husband has on occasion said, is that argument that the couple have that, but that's not us, is it? And I'm like, no, of course not. It's a pure coincidence. No, I would never ever use an exact story. I guess they're inspired. Sometimes my characters say what I would like to say, but I don't because I'm trying to keep the peace. That's quite fun. I can vent all my frustrations. So this particular book yes, my oldest daughter is now at uni. I have still got one at home, but starting to be aware that that empty nest feeling is approaching. Luckily, none of the other things have happened, and I'm very much hoping I'm not manifesting it. But then they have happened to friends of mine, like different elements. So one friend did get made redundant, and then it took her a while to get a job. And another one, there's quite a few of my friends that are sandwich generation, looking after children and elderly parents. So yes, nothing is just me and nothing is all my friends. It's like a combination of everything.
Does it ever give you pause, though? Do you ever kind of think, I want to put this moment in, but so-and-so's going to think it's them, or is this going to be a bit too embarrassing? Because these books are very, I mean, as well as being funny and relatable, they're almost kind of confessional in a way, which in a way you have to be with this kind of thing. So do you ever stop and think, am I not going to put that in, or what?
I have to be particularly careful, I think, when writing about the mother figures in my book, that my mum doesn't think that it's anything like her. So I make them as opposite to her as possible, so that there's no risk she could ever be worried, because they're definitely not her. So, for example, the mum in The Mother of All Comebacks is a hand model. Well, my mum bites her nails. Yes, that's the one. Bites her nails and doesn't care about never wear nail varnish or anything like that. So just things like that to make her as different as possible. And also as a teenage daughter, the one at uni, I had to make sure she was completely different to my daughter, so that there could never be any mum. But I'm not even allowed to put pictures of them on Instagram. So to actually immortalise them in a book, they would disown me.
Yes, yeah, it's a fine line, but it is one of those things that I guess people can't fathom, that sometimes, we do draw from real life, but sometimes we do make stuff up as well. We do invent. We do, bring our imagination to the story as well. So.
Yeah, it has to be exaggerated as well. If it was just everyday life, it wouldn't be as funny or interesting to read about.
Well, that's the other thing as well with comedy. Tonally, it's a lot more heightened as well. So it's you're leaning into that too. Now let's go back. Let's talk about where it all started for you. Now, your debut, is it Wife Support System was your debut there? Take us back to the lead up of the publication of that and how that all came about.
So I've written all my life. Short stories, submitted a book to a publisher when I was 10, which unsurprisingly was rejected. Told me to keep up the good work. Sent off short stories to Jackie magazine when I was about 14, again rejected. I can't believe that. I mean, at 14, you know everything there is to know about love, don't you? I should have snapped those up. And then I kept starting stories in my 20s, but getting distracted, I think, by going down the pub. And then it wasn't until, when I was in my mid-30s and fell pregnant with my first daughter, suddenly going down the pub wasn't as appealing, so I had more time on my hands and I didn't have any hangovers. So actually that's when I started really writing properly, and I did finish a book, and it wasn't good enough to be published, but it was a really good lesson in showing that I loved writing. I could finish a book, and that I really enjoyed the whole process. Then I had to put it on pause because I had another daughter, and when they were tiny, there was no time at all. And then when the youngest one started school, I signed up to a writing course with Jill Dawson, this amazing tutor. She's a fantastic author. And so that was in 2012. I started writing the book. And the idea I had for the book was based on, because I had young children. When I got together with my friends who also had young children, life was just so much easier when we were all pitching in, helping each other out. Children were entertaining each other. And I said, we've got this the wrong way round. Instead of living with our husbands and them not being around to help us really, and just seeing each other now and again, we should live with each other, help each other out, and just see our husbands now and again. But couldn't really make that work in real life. So I wrote about it instead. So that was the basis of Wife Support System, 3 mums moving in together. So that was 2012. And it took a long time to write because I was working, 2 young children. And also, it was way too long. I originally had 4 characters, had to cut one out. So I just had to keep doing all these rewrites. So I was submitting it to lots of agents. But at the time, it was all Gone Girl, Girl on the Train, all domestic noir. And everyone said they loved the idea, they liked the writing, but it was just the wrong time. But I was just determined not to give up. I really believed in the book.
Yeah.
So I kept going, and I was entering writing competitions, and I joined the Romantic Novelists Association, part of their even though it isn't a romance, it's got romance in it.
Yeah.
And they will review your manuscript and give you feedback. Yeah. And then I went to events, met people, and it was at an event. I was in the loo, I complimented this woman on her dress, and we got chatting, and she was Keshni Naidu from Hera Books, a publisher.
Yes, I know Kesh, yeah.
She's lovely, isn't she? And and she said, "Oh, what have you read? What are you writing?" And I told her, and she said, "Oh, I like the sound of that. Will you send it to me?" And I did. And then about a month later, got an email from her saying we'd love to publish it. So,
brilliant.
Yeah, so I didn't have an agent. I went direct to publisher. But of course, if I hadn't been at that event, hadn't been chatting, that may never have happened. So I think it's really worth putting yourself out there, isn't it? So it actually got published in 2020. So it took 8 years from me starting it, and hundreds of rewrites and rejections until it eventually got there.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. Going at, and organisations like the RNA, I've been to a couple of RNA conferences to talk and stuff like that, and they are absolutely brilliant. And the community there is incredibly supportive. And fantastic. Lots to unpack there. First of all, you approached a publisher when you were 10, and you got a reply. These days, people go, "What's the secret, Kathleen? Well, how did you get a reply? Was it just because you were 10?"
I don't know if I said my age, but they obviously realised from the illustrations the fact it was an exercise book, handwritten.
Brilliant. Do you still have it?
They didn't return it. I know.
What was the publisher? Who was the publisher?
I can't remember. I have got the letter somewhere. We'll
track them down. I know people, Kathleen. We'll get this back for you.
I do think that's really mean. Perhaps they thought it was too expensive to send it back. It was 2 exercise books sellotaped together. I don't know how I afforded to post it, quite frankly. Taken a lot of pocket money.
Now, the next question, and I'm aware that one of your books is called "Would You Ask My Husband That?" And I wouldn't, because my next question is, you're juggling family, you're juggling work, all these things, and you're finding time to write. See, when my kids were younger, it was, my wife was at home looking after them kind of thing. So I'm very aware of my privilege and how easy I had it then, and I was able to write. Had the tables been turned, I'd have probably curled up into a ball and given up. So where were you finding the time? Were there certain parts of the day where you could write? How were you finding the time? Because I just think people out there will be interested to know.
So when I had my second daughter, and the older one stopped napping, I had to stop writing because it was in her nap times that I wrote, and then they didn't exist anymore. And I was trying desperately to write in the evenings or really early in the morning, but I was just so tired because I was working 3 days a week as well. And I just had to make peace with the fact I can't write at the moment. I'm driving myself mad trying to write and actually not really appreciating the moment with them. So I put it all to one side, and then when the younger one started school, because I did 3 days a week, I was lucky. On the Monday, when I didn't work and she was at school, I went to this writing class, and then I also had Fridays free to write. So I was very lucky that I was working part-time. And then I'd been writing for probably 2 or 3 years, and it was just taking so long because it is so difficult, like getting up early. Children get you up early anyway. It's not like you can say, I'm going to get up at 6 to write, because they're waking you up at 5:30 already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There isn't really an early. And then quite often they would, I don't know, something would be going on in the evening and just didn't get to it. Plus, I'm not great in the evenings either. I think I'm much better in the morning. So anyway, after a few years, we were paying out for childminder and then that childminder wasn't able to actually, and then my mum was helping out, and then she couldn't do it anymore for various reasons. So we were going to have to pay more, and just decide, well, I begged really my husband, and I said, I'm desperate to write this book. We're paying all this money, struggling with childcare. Is there any way that I could step back from work for a while, be there for the girls, and we won't have to worry about childcare, and then I can really throw myself into the book? So I said, I'll give it a year, and if nothing happens in that year, then I'll go back to work. And so it must have been a bit longer than a few years. But anyway, so it did so happen that in that year, I think right towards the end, like maybe 11 months, 3 weeks or something, I met Keshni and had that conversation. So I was extremely, extremely lucky that I was able to take that time out. But I mean, I know lots of writers who do it, and I think they just write at every given opportunity. I just didn't feel like I had that many opportunities. So I got very lucky that I was able to do that.
Well, you say it just so happened, but I think, if you gave yourself that year, that's kind of like you're giving yourself a deadline, you're setting yourself a target. It kind of focuses the mind, doesn't it? In a way that it might not have done otherwise. That's
true, because when I was, as soon as I took the girls to school, I came home and I wrote all day long until I picked them up. I had to set an alarm so that I wasn't so lost in it that I went and got them, because I thought, I've done this for a reason. I cannot waste a single moment. I mean, not that now I never watch TV in the day or anything. I am always working, but I don't feel guilty about if I do pop out and see a friend for lunch or something like that. Yeah. Whereas then I'd be like, no, I'm not doing. So yes, I was very, very disciplined. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. I do appreciate that. And it's interesting that, you sacrifice so much. You're bringing up your daughters, and there's a lovely unboxing video on online where your family seems incredibly unimpressed with what you've done. Emily and Kai, can we drop a clip in of this when we do the edit? So if we can use that. So yes, do tell us about this wonderful video.
Yes, it's a bit of a contrast to your amazing unboxing video that you did with your son.
That's the thing, that if they don't do my unboxing videos, I kick them out, so they don't have a choice. So yeah.
Right, I didn't think to try that tactic. Yes. So this was 2020, so we were in lockdown when the book came out, and so my husband was working from home. Obviously the girls were being homeschooled, so they were there as well. So I think they were 10 and 13, and I was trying to make it a bit special, although if anyone watches the video, the mess in the kitchen behind me, it never crossed my mind to tidy up a bit or anything.
It's called authenticity, Kathleen.
It was very authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me ages to stage that. So I was sitting in the breakfast bar, I had my box of books, and then my older one was videoing it, I think, on her phone, and I said, right, I'm going to play Star Wars. So I was saying, Alexa, play Star Wars. And they were like, no, we don't want Star Wars. They kept cutting me off. And then my husband had to come out of like the little room where he was working and say, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to call. Can you keep the noise down? So I was like, right, okay then. And I was trying to do this video, and then Eve said, I'm bored, and switched it off halfway through. And I was like, oh my God. Eventually got there. And then she stopped, and I was like, well, I haven't even said how to buy the book yet or anything. I just had to tag something on the end. So, yeah, it wasn't quite how I'd imagined, but it is quite funny to watch.
I'd say it's very on brand, actually. I think
that's true, actually.
The tone of the book's perfectly. It's fantastic. And like I say, we will, if you're watching this back on the edit, we'll drop a little clip in, and we'll have a link in the show notes so you can check it out as well. Definitely worth looking at. Wife Support System was shortlisted for the RNA Joan Hassayon Award. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes.
And then you've got second one, I believe, was Would You Ask My Husband That?
Yes.
And then Has Anyone Seen My Husband? That was shortlisted for the Comedy Women in Print Award. And the Comedy Women in Print Award is a brilliant award. I've covered it on a previous podcast. And so can you tell us more about the award and about your book and how that all came about?
Yes, so Comedy Women in Print Prize was set up by Helen Lederer, She realised that there weren't any awards out there really championing and supporting female comic writers, and she wanted to change that. And she's put so much work into it. Yeah. And it's a brilliant platform, and it's become a community as well. I've met so many people through it, and we really support each other. So, yes, if you are a woman writing a book with humour in it, then please do check it out, comedywomeninprintprize.co.uk. And actually, Has Anyone Seen My Husband was the second book I wrote. So I wrote Wife Support System, was going through this massively long process of trying to find an agent and publisher. And while that was going on, I started writing Has Anyone Seen My Husband, which is all about being a second wife and being part of a blended family, dealing with ex-partners, stepchildren, etc. Again, it is a comedy.
Yes.
And so I was writing that, entered it into the Comedy Women in Print Prize in the unpublished category. Then I got an email saying, "Oh, congratulations, you've been longlisted. We need the full manuscript in 10 days. Well, I was only 2/3 of the way through the book. This was still lockdown when I was homeschooling. So I basically had to say to my, just throw some food at my children every day saying, I'm sorry, I've just got to write. And I just wrote non-stop. And it was due at midday on the Tuesday, say, and I finished at 11 minutes past 4 a.m. on that Tuesday morning. I typed the end and then just fell into bed for a couple of hours. Yeah. And then I sent it. I didn't even have time to read it through before I sent it off. So I thought, well, it's never going to be shortlisted because it's probably complete garbage what I've written. But amazingly, it did get shortlisted. So that was fantastic. But there was usually a big party, but of course there wasn't lockdown. That was a bit of a gutter. Although luckily I have been able to go since without the pressure or the worry, I guess, of wondering if I'm going to win anything. So that was amazing. So I'd got shortlisted, and then Wife Support System had just come out, and being shortlisted got me the attention of an agent, Emily Glenister of DHH, and she is absolutely amazing. I'd forwarded her the book, and then we did a Zoom call, and she said, I love it. I'd really like to represent you. And so the first book, Wife Support System, I didn't have an agent. I went to Society of Authors to get them to check the contract and everything. And the experience was fine because working with Keshni was lovely. However, having Emily as my agent, always have her, she's always got my back. She really champions me to have someone to brainstorm with. And we get on so, so well that I'm really lucky, really got lucky there. Fantastic. And if it hadn't been for being shortlisted for Comedy Women in Print Prize, I don't know that she would have, I would have got her attention. I don't know, but I'm very glad I did. Certainly didn't hurt.
No, definitely not. So you're now 4 books into your career. Mother of All Comebacks is the new one. What are the biggest lessons that you've learned putting out those 4 books? Is there anything you wish you'd known when you started out that you know now?
One thing that I wasn't anticipating was how much marketing and PR you have to do for your own books. Yes. It is like a full-time job in itself, and that's completely what I'm focusing on at the moment, really. But I don't know if it's having any impact, and it's stopping me writing the next book. Yeah. So, I just feel like because the book only came out last week, I've really just got to push it like crazy, and then I do that for another week, and then I've really got to get cracking with the next one. The lessons that I tell other people that to learn from my experiences, I'm very foolishly not doing myself, really. It's like, do as I say, not as I do.
Guilty as charged. Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Yes, which is prioritise your writing, do your X thousand words or however much time you want to dedicate each day, then do the jobs such as your marketing and PR or linking laundry or whatever. But I think, well, I'll just quickly do this post, and but I'm so slow and rubbish that it takes me about 2 hours to do a tiny little post.
Yeah, but that is the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, social media's become so disparate now. It used to be, you'd maybe pop something on Twitter, and then that had the reach to have some kind of impact. But of course, now, social media is completely fragmented. So I know that if I put a video up on, and I start with TikTok because it has the best subtitle technology, getting the subtitles right, because if you put a video up without subtitles, you might as well not bother. So you got to do that first, and then so I do that, and then I put it up on YouTube, then I put it on Substack, and then I put it up on Instagram, which thankfully feeds out to Threads and Facebook, and then I put it on Blue Sky, and that's an hour. That's an hour at least, and that's it. And I'm maybe scripting it beforehand, and also trying to think of a clever idea that's going to shift books. And then you look an hour later, it's like 20 views. Oh, great.
Well, do you know what? I'd be quite pleased. Sometimes I'll spend hours on one, and it's like one like maybe.
Yeah, but
I'm only really. I'm not even. I'm going nowhere near TikTok. I just.
That's fair.
I'm useless.
Yeah, it is fair. It is fair. Yeah. I mean, I think it's all of the. It's I mean, what my piece of advice to most writers is carve out a little corner of the internet for yourself, and see Kathleen's website going across the bottom there. Cracking website. Do check it out. So
thank you.
That's something that they can't take away from you. So I've got my own website. I've got my own little online store. I think we are increasingly having to build. I mean, just this week, there have been all sorts of shenanigans going on at Kindle Unlimited. People saying that their page reads aren't coming up on Kindle Unlimited, and the allegedly, big air quotes here, Amazon used AI to write some code which has completely nosed up the reporting for sales on Kindle. So a lot of people are going, "What is going on?" So we're learning that you can't rely on these big tech companies. You have to carve out a bit of the internet for yourself, I think, and that's as if we haven't got enough to do already. So it's
people say, don't they, make sure you get a newsletter so that you have those contacts. But so I did a big thing when the last book came out, saying, sign up to my newsletter and I'll give you the first 3 chapters of the book that's not out for a few weeks free. And the only person that signed up was my neighbour. So okay. She could have just asked me, So yes, that hasn't worked at all.
Wow. The thing is as well, if you're a self-published author, you can immediately see the sales. But if you're traditionally published, you don't get access to those figures unless you constantly nag the sales team. Speaking as someone who used to be on a sales team, we would get authors going, okay, we're doing a promo. Let's you get the kind of more pushy editors coming over to my desk and saying, right, so-and-so's going on Women's Hour. Is there a sales spike? That kind of thing. And okay, yeah. But of course, if everyone did it, they probably wouldn't have made me redundant. Stop it. Okay. Well, we're going to take a little break now.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, yeah, we'll come back to this. We'll come back with some questions. But first, let's talk about the Green Room. So twice a month, I run live sessions on Zoom where you can ask me questions about the craft of writing, your work in progress, the business of publishing. The sessions are fun, informal, chatty. It's a really nice group that we have. You can send questions in advance. They're recorded live on Zoom and saved on Ko-fi for exclusive access to Green Room supporters. I'll pop a link to Green Room. You can see, there we go, the little thing going across the bottom there, ko-fi.com, markstay-writer/tiers. It's 20 quid a month. There's no long-term commitment. With Ko-fi, you can support for just a month or as long as you like. And that money does make a difference. Today, I've been, ordering stock for events. I've been, buying train tickets to go to other events. I'm going to have to get some more. I'm going to have to get a new chair, I think, at some point. So all this stuff really helps. Now, my goal is to be able to give supporters advice that's going to make a real difference to their writing and career. Because the way I see it, having worked in this industry as a salesperson, bookseller, and author for over 30 years, I've made every mistake so you don't have to. As Kathleen said earlier, do as I say, don't do as I do. The next sessions are on 8th of April. We have a one-topic wonder thing, and this month we're going to be talking about cover design. And then on the 22nd of April, we got our Q&A session. You can send me questions in about that, and I answer them for you. And then on the 29th, we've got our 200-word workshop session. This is where you send me 200 words from your work in progress. we do a little critique. It's all very friendly and positive, and we all learn something from it. So that's the green room there. Do check it out. Also, I got books, and you can buy them. You can buy from all good bookstores, but if you want a signed and dedicated copy, you can come straight to my store at witchesofwoodville.com/library. And I've also got the End of Magic Trilogy too. So yeah, that's it. You can buy books from me. Do check it out. Back to the show. Kathleen, welcome back. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Now, this is the part of the show where I ask my regular questions that I ask of all of my guests. And folks, if you're joining us live, feel free to pop questions in the comments. We can answer those questions at the end of this section. So do that. What small thing has made a big difference to your creative process?
There's a quote which I think was from Roald Dahl, or Ronald Dahl, as I thought he was when I was little. I remember going to a bookshop and saying, I want to buy The Magic Finger by Ronald Dahl with my book voucher. Luckily, they knew who I was talking about. I think he said that when you're writing and you get to the end of your writing session, always finish in the middle of a scene, because then when you sit down the next day, you're straight back in there, as opposed to finishing at the end of a chapter and having to come back and think, right, okay, where do I start now? And I think that's brilliant advice. I do always try and do that.
That is great advice. I do that quite a bit, actually. Yeah. And it's just you hit the ground running the next morning, which getting that momentum going is half the battle, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's the thing that makes you think you're ready to start writing on a project? What's that tipping point that makes you think, okay, let's go?
My agent saying, where's your book? That gets me going. Well, because I'm about to start writing the next one, actually, and I'm just reaching that stage now where it's almost like I've got a TV series of the stories in my head. I'm starting to see the little scenes of what the characters will be doing, and I keep imagining this woman with her back to me walking through a door, and I really want to follow her and find out where she's going, what she's going to do. And I'm getting really excited. So I know that I'm ready to sit down and start writing this one.
Excellent. And conversely, how do you know when you're done?
Again, the deadline. Get that book in now. In an ideal world, I will have finished the story, so I've got everything incomplete. I'd have had plenty of time to read through, do all my tweaks, do lots of editing, and then I'd submit it. In reality, I'm always right up against the deadline, so I do make sure I get to the end of the book and I've got everything in there that I need. But say it's due in on Tuesday, chances are I have still been writing till 4 a.m. or so that morning or something. So I never have time to go back and edit it really thoroughly, but I do make sure I've got everything element in there that I want to be in there. Yeah. There are no PSs, this character is going to maybe do that or something. How about you?
And that's it. I mean, well, it's usually when I go word blind, I need someone else to look at this. It's at the point where I've gone over it again and again and again. I'm a bit of a swot. I tend to deliver early because I just want to give it as much time. Which, if you'd known me when I went to school, I was always late with homework if it ever showed up at all. But now it's there's money at stake. I take it seriously. That's what they should do with homework. They should monetize it. Anyway,
it. Yes.
So yeah, that's when I just when I can't, when I'm moving commas and thinking, should that be a semicolon? That's when it's time. Okay, give it to someone else.
I'm just lucky if I've got punctuation in mind. That time in the morning.
But it makes me, when you were saying earlier, you wrote that first book that you felt wasn't good enough to go out, but you did at least finish it, and finishing something is that act of proving to yourself that you can actually do this, which puts you in, I think, the top 1% of people who call themselves writers, because, a lot of people never get beyond, a certain point or finish it, or they end up just rewriting the same thing again and again and again. So it's a liberating feeling, isn't it?
Well, like I said, it took the removal of alcohol from my life to be able to achieve that.
That might be, I don't drink. And I
that's why you're so productive.
I think it is because I work with a film director, and he loves working with me because I'm up first thing in the morning and I'm always writing, and he's like, "You're never hungover," and I'm like, "No, well, I just get on with it, so never a day wasted." So I'm very boring though, so that's the flip side of it. So yeah.
Oh, I'm boring as well, but just in a drunken way.
How do you remember that idea that you have at, say, 3 a.m? I mean, it's 3 a.m. You're probably in the middle of a draft.
I'm still writing. I'm still searching for the ideas. Do you know what? I've actually stopped writing them down because they were so ridiculous and also so boring. Like when you're telling somebody the dream you had and their eyes are glazing over, you don't think this isn't a page turner. There's absolutely no point me trying to turn this into a book. And did you ever remember the word that you'd made up in your dream? You said you created it.
No. Gone. Absolutely gone.
I'm sure it's
so
amazing. Hopefully you'll come back in another dream.
Brought about world peace. You never know. Yeah. What's the biggest mistake you've ever made in your writing career?
Right. So when I wrote Wife Support System, the first book, I polished every chapter and perfected it before I moved on to the next one. And I spent a lot of time doing that so that I could be proud of every chapter and moving on. But then I ended up cutting so much of the book, it was completely wasted. So I know now to just knock out that first draft. So, because it's going to be rubbish and it needs changing loads, but that's absolutely fine. So Wife Support System, I think I said earlier, I even had to take a character out. There were 4 women living together initially. So to have spent all that time making her as well-rounded and her dialogue as witty as possible and everything, and then just cut, it's like, oh God, I would have saved myself a lot of time and work if I hadn't done that. But then I learned from it, I guess, in that.
Exactly. Important lesson to learn. And there are people who write like that. I know Ben Aronovich writes like that. Because he puts up his daily word count, and sometimes it'll be 272 words, but Ben will tell you that those are the words that end up in the finished book. And I don't know how he works like that, but he does, and he's very successful. So there's no one way of doing this. Each their own. But yeah, I'm with you. Just get it down and dirty and get it out, and fix it later. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What's the best happy accident of your writing career?
I think it is something that I hadn't expected at all, was that as well as writing, I now interview authors a lot, and I chair panels and an events host at festivals and things, which I had never expected. And that came about, I was at my local independent bookshop, who I've got to know well, obviously, and chatting away, and they happened to mention that Susanna Constantine was coming in to do a talk about her memoir, Ready for Absolutely Nothing. And they said, oh, but we need someone to interview her. And they didn't want to do it. And I said, oh, I'll do it. And they said, would you really? And I said, yeah. Well, I used to be a journalist, so I guess I do have that advantage in that I'm used to coming up with questions and asking people. But I mean, I was really, really nervous on my first event, but I do get a real kick out of, a bit of a high from chatting to authors and about all things writerly. And so that's a really, really lovely part of my life now, which I hadn't anticipated. Yeah.
No, same here. I love it. I love talking to authors because I learn something every time.
Yeah,
and it helps you feel, you know that you're in the same boat. I just love chatting to them. If someone can pay me to do it and sit on a stage, or give me that little ego boost, or maybe even stupid enough to start a podcast. So I do enjoy it. And if you've got that skill set, because most authors are quite shy of retiring types. Then you should definitely use it if you can. But I've learned so much doing this.
Yeah, I was so shy as a child, so shy. Like I used to go red when they called my name in registration because I couldn't put any attention on me. So the thought that I actually now, like I hosted a panel at Forthright Festival a couple of weeks ago. And I compared the Big Book Night, a charity night with authors, and both audiences had over 150 people in them. And I was nervous, but the thought of doing that, I just can't believe where that's come from, really. But I like it. So, well, once I've got over the nerves.
Is there a character or a story that's swirling around in your head that you want to write, but you're not ready to write yet?
Well, because my books are about real life. So when I started off, they were very young children. The children have gradually got older, and now I've got to the empty nest stage. So I'm thinking if I carry on, eventually, then I'll be writing about probably having grandchildren and how that juggle. But as my daughters are only 19 and 17, I am not ready to write that book for a very long time. Yes.
Fair enough. Yes, fair enough. Emily, do we have any questions from the good people joining us this evening?
Yes, we do.
We do. Lovely. Okay. Thomas. Oh, okay. So we get the biscuit question every episode from Thomas. What type of biscuit do you rate as an author? Jaffa cakes don't count.
Fair enough.
Mad man. Well, anyway,
I do love a Jaffa cake, but I guess it is a cake. Yes.
Yes.
Custard cream, I think, would be my favourite.
Classic. Classic.
Yeah, old school. In fact, I can't buy them because I will sit and eat a whole packet.
Well, who wouldn't? I mean,
foolish.
Exactly.
You don't need to put a half-eaten wrapper back in the biscuit tin.
Well, no, and they go off so quickly. You have to. It's almost like the manufacturers
know.
This.
I don't actually know for a fact. But
no, exactly. Yeah. I was saying earlier, I don't drink. I remember years ago, I worked for Waterstones, and we were going to do an audit, and the manager, because he lived so far away, he stayed the night with us and kept on our sofa. And I said, do you want to drink? I said, I've got some beer. I said, oh no, the beer's gone out of date. And he was like, the beer's gone out of date?
Is that even a thing?
Let's beer go out of date. And I'm like, I do, just for guests. So, and anyway. Any more questions, Emily? Yes, okay. Steve Gowland says, you mentioned the Romantic Novelists Association was helpful with your career. How important do you think it is finding your community, and how did finding that community help you? Great question. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I think that's really important. When you can chat to people, feed off each other, have that support, champion each other, brainstorm, it's an amazing thing. And so, yes, Romantic Novel Association, and as I said, the Comedy Women in Print, we've got a really community there. So I don't know what genre of books you write, but I mean, there are lots of crime writing organisations, or there might be local writing groups. So I've actually set one up in my hometown, and we meet once a month. And it's just a really, really lovely safe space where we can just all talk about whatever we want. I mean, quite often it's not about writing at all because we've all got to know each other really well. But yeah, we do. We bounce ideas off each other, or we can ask advice about agents or publishers. And I would recommend, if you can find other writers, to do so. Also, Society of Authors, actually, if you're a member, they quite often have local groups. So that's
good answer.
Something
good
worth
stuff.
looking into.
Every genre has its own community. And the thing I've noticed, because I've moved between them, doing interviews and things like that, is every genre community thinks they are the worst done by. So romance will go, oh, no one takes romance seriously. It's about time people took science fiction, fantasy. No one takes sci-fi fantasy seriously. Except the crime. Everyone knows that crime gets taken seriously, but they still moan about it. Yeah, every community thinks they're hard done by. And unless you move between them, you'll never notice that. Any more questions, Em? This is me getting banned from every convention ever. Nicola Briggs is here, author. Nicola says, hi, Kathleen. Do you go back and read your books after they are published, and what do you think when you do? That's a great question.
That is a really good question. Well, because I quite often do readings from the latest book when I go to an event, so I do have a little look through, but I don't read the whole thing. However, I have listened to my books because I get gifted an audio book, and I have to give it a bit of distance. I can't listen to it straight away. So, for example, I probably listened to Wife Support System about 3 years after I'd written, and I don't want to sound vain or anything, but I was thinking, well, I'm pleased with that, actually,
Yeah.
Which is a nice feeling. So yes, that's what I do, and luckily I've had really good narrators as well, because that does make such a difference. If I had a narrator that was annoying me, then I wouldn't enjoy that so much. I can't imagine sitting down like with my book, "Oh, what should I read tonight?" I'm like, yeah, I can't imagine doing that. But like I said, I do listen, and I've had a bit of distance.
Yeah, it's but I recognise that thing when you go back and read something you wrote years ago, and you go, "Oh, that's actually quite good.
Yeah.
Well done, me." You know, it's having that because all you remember is the last minute stuff, the rewrites, the copy editor pointing out that you use the word "side" 1132 times in the, and all the things that went wrong before it became good, and then in the end, you actually have something that's really good. I did have to completely. Because between the end of Magic and the end of Gods, the second book, there was like 5 years, and I had to go back and reread the whole thing,
if it's a
making
series,
notes as I went. Yeah, because I'm writing a sequel, and it was again. I was like, "Yeah, this is good. This is good, actually." Oh, thank God! So great question. Thank you, Nicola. Next question, please, Em. Natalie Perry. Oh, we're going to be talking about Natalie Perry in a minute, actually. Do you have any plotting or pacing techniques you use for each book? Thank you.
Yes, I am a plotter. So what I do is I need to know where the story's going, how I'm going to get to the end, but I don't have it in great detail. So I will have like a chapter plan, say, it could just be one line for each chapter, and I don't know how that thing that has to happen in that chapter will happen. That's like the fun part when I write down how it all comes out. But I know that thing will happen, so I can then move on to the next stage of the story. And it does change. I might be 2/3 of the way through, and then a story element just happens. And I think, right, okay, I need to go back and add something earlier on so that links in. But yeah, I'm not... I wish that I just sit down and it all la 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 all comes out magically, but it doesn't. I do have to have that outline to take me through to get to the end.
And pacing, pacing is an interesting one because we don't talk about that often enough. How aware are you of the pacing of a novel as you're putting it together, or is that something you think about more in maybe the second draft and the edit?
I try to end each chapter with not a cliffhanger exactly, but something that makes it and want to read on.
Yeah.
And then I'm aware that towards the end you need, like, when you hit rock bottom, lost everything, how are you going to come back out from this? But I don't worry about that too much. I try and I guess a bit ups and downs, but I don't have it paced in that, at this section that's got to happen and that's got to happen. I just let it flow a little bit more, and then maybe I'm getting it all wrong, I don't know. But it seems to kind of like work out okay with the story, the way the story goes. I think subconsciously I probably pace it, but don't think too much about at X amount of words that sort of has to happen.
That's probably the best way to do it. I think if you overthink these things, you can send yourself into a spiral. So, but yeah, good stuff. Lovely. Thank you. Any more questions, then?
2 more.
Gavin's here from New Zealand. Gavin says, how do you select your reading? So this is when you're doing events and giving a reading. And do you have any minimum or maximum reading times you tend to aim for?
Okay, so I've just done a couple of events lately for the Mother of All Comebacks, and I've actually started with the beginning because I think, well, obviously it sets the scene, it's the beginning of the book, but I think it really sums up, you can instantly see where the character's coming from. So I think it's a nice intro. And the first one specifically asked for a 5-minute reading, which I did, and that seemed to be okay. But then I did another event this weekend, and I did the same reading, and actually, the first one was in the 150 seat audience. This was smaller, maybe 30 people, and I did think, I feel like I'm going on a bit now. I think maybe in a smaller, more intimate group, maybe 3 minutes would have been better. Yes,
and I think shorter is better. But I've sort of done 5-7 minutes tops because most authors are terrible at reading their own stuff, which is why we get narrators to do the audiobooks because and also it's I think shorter, just give them enough, give them a taste, because I've been to conventions and things where people are reading for 15 minutes and you just want to have a nap halfway through. I mean, it's just, it's just, I'm not sure the oral tradition really stretches to some of these books. So short and sweet. Excellent. Thanks for that question, Gavin. Next question, please, Em. Ragnar is here. How do you feel best supported in your writing by those around you? Anything small or big they do that helps in your writing? That's a great question. Thank you.
My family help in that they do all these things that are really annoying that I can put into my book that make them relatable. I don't mean that, obviously.
We've got to clip that out, Emily. Make sure we put that out of context on social media.
Otherwise, the next book will be about being divorced. Well, my husband was amazingly supportive in that when I said I'd like to take this year out. I mean, admittedly, it was really helping us out childcare-wise, but he knew it was my dream and I didn't want to get to my deathbed and say, I really wish I'd given that a good go. And he understood and supported me there. The girls, I think, they're teenagers. They're really But my friends are amazing. They read my books. They listen to me. They help me bounce ideas. And this writing group I said about, they're fantastic as well. And my agent, she has become a friend and I can contact her anytime. And I wouldn't expect her to get back to me straight away, but she almost always does. She's just really lovely and cares about her clients, which is a bit annoying. I thought it was just me she cared about, but it turns out it's everyone. But yeah, I think it is good to be supported. It must be quite hard if you haven't got that.
But it is, and the thing is, agents and publishing people are great because they understand and other authors understand, which is why it's important to find a community. But family, I mean, my mum and dad were always very proud of what I've done, but I couldn't say to them, "Oh, I got Kindle Daily Deal today" or whatever.
No, that's true. Actually, that does. Yes. I tend not to bother mentioning those kind of things, to be honest.
Yeah. So you get, we get our little dopamine hits from talking to those who actually understand. So totally get that. Brilliant. Thank you, folks. Thank you for all your questions.
Yes, thank you.
Let's get on to my fun part, which is what's bringing you joy at the moment. This could be books, movies, TV shows, games, music, whatever's making you happy when you're not writing.
Okay, so I am currently reading Julia Rayside, who I met through Comedy Women in Print Prize. She was shortlisted in the published category, Yes, Don't Make Me Laugh, which is such a clever book. It's about a male stand-up comedian who is perhaps using his position to his advantage in a way that's not very, that the Me Too and all the toxic male behaviour that we're hearing about in the news. This is looking at it from the perspective of the stand-up comedy world, and it's very witty, and it's really clever. And she's an amazing writer, so I'm really enjoying reading that.
She's a brilliant writer. She has a really good Substack, and she is very good at nailing all the kind of the toxic males out there, which is definitely worth a read. So yeah, this is definitely going to be worth checking out.
Yes. And I'm also listening to I listen to quite a lot of books as well, because I can just get through so many more when I'm running or doing that laundry we were talking about earlier, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So I'm listening to a book called Pixie by Jill Dawson, and she was my writing tutor that I was saying about, and then she went on and mentored me through Gold Dust, and she is such a fantastic writer. Absolutely, she's a poet as well, and that comes through. And Pixie is about Pamela Coleman Smith, who designed the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot cards at the start of the 20th century, and it's all about her story. She was very young and early 20s and had to find her way. She's orphaned and had to find her way in a male-dominated world, and she did these incredible illustrations, and yet never got any recognition for them or much payment in her lifetime. But Jill Dawson has just created such a beautiful book about her. It's really like giving her the recognition that she should have had then. And I really recommend
Brilliant.
that.
I love that.
Well.
Love that cover art as well.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. And what else is bringing you joy?
Okay, so I am watching Shrinking on Apple. Yes, Harrison Ford is my hero. It has been since I watched Star Wars when I was 7. But my little Star Wars figure is always by my side. I think that possibly Harrison Ford is being himself more in this series than he has been able to in other things that he's done.
Like you, I'm a massive Star Wars and Harrison Ford fan, and I still haven't watched this. And it's because there's just so much TV. It's never quite got to the top of my list, but I must watch it. The clips I've seen look absolutely brilliant. The sort of chemistry he has with Jason Segel and the rest of the cast.
Yeah, it's a really good cast. So, I'm really enjoying that. Very dry wit. And then I'm also, what's bringing me joy is, the Other Bennett Sister, which is about Mary Bennett, the quiet piano playing, not interested at all in all the soldiers as the other sisters were all getting married. It's about her, told from her perspective. That's on iPlayer, and that's that's good fun, but just a nice bit of escapism. I mean, look at those gorgeous outfits and things, if you're into that kind of thing.
I'm into escapism. I think we all are at the moment. Yes. We all want to escape. And there was one other thing you said was bringing you joy, and I didn't feel appropriate to put a picture up of this. No. So tell us about the new addition to your home.
Okay, so what's bringing me immense joy is my new bed. So we'd had the last one for well over 20 years, and we had to move it recently and leant the mattress against the wall, and it just slumped down to the floor, collapsed. It was maybe we need a new one. And it had been a really low onto the ground double bed that my husband and I bought when we first got a house together, so probably it's nearer 30 years, I don't know, but anyway, we treated ourselves and we upgraded to a super king bed, and it's got this really deep mattress, and it is just amazing, absolutely amazing. If I could have done the interview in the bed, I would have done, but that might be a bit unprofessional.
Paulie Yates used to do it.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's life-changing. Proper bed, proper mattress is totally life-changing. Fantastic. Well, look, I'll quickly whiz through what's bringing me joy at the moment. Now, I'm reading a brilliant book called Quality Land by Mark U. King, who's a German author, and this was translated a few years ago. Recommended by a friend. I'm only halfway through it, but it's brilliant. It's a very funny and twisted satire of life in a land where everyone is ranked at different levels. Online orders arrive before you even know you need them, and you can be informed halfway through a date that there's actually someone more suitable for you. And everyone's surnames indicate their job, so you have Susan Admin, etc. So this story follows Peter Jobless, who gets a delivery of a pink dolphin vibrator that clearly isn't for him, and he makes the mistake of trying to return it. It's really funny. It's very dark. It's kind of about artificial intelligence as well. So it's kind of just a little bit in the future. It reminds me a lot of Terry Gilliam's Brazil, which I think is great. And music. Catherine Priddy has a new album out. I love Catherine Priddy. She does this beautiful ethereal folk music. And there's some great songs on this. It's called These Frightening Machines. Just one of those albums you can listen from all the way through, and it's just brilliant. And the other thing I'm really enjoying is sketching. I've started sketching again. So, just doing little sketches, through the day, just as, for a bit of mental elf. And it's really, really helping me. And this is thanks to Poppy T. Perry, who is coming on the show very soon. She's written a Dead Reel there. She's going to be coming on the podcast very soon, and she's with us tonight. She's watching tonight. So thanks to her for encouraging me. And Dom Currie, who did does our jingles, he bought me some pencils for my birthday as well. Aww. So thanks to both of them for the encouragement. I really, really appreciate that.
Well, you can actually draw. That helps. My sketches would not look like that.
Well, I always enjoyed it. I was never quite good enough to to go professional, but I just enjoying the process. It's the thing, isn't it? It's always. Yes. I remember when I was 15, I wanted to when we were doing work experience. I wanted to go to 2000 AD comic, but they weren't taking anyone on. So I went to my local newspaper instead. And that's one of those sliding doors moments where I think if I'd gone there, maybe I'd be drawing Judge Dredd or something. But, we'll see. But yes, Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us. What's coming next? You mentioned that you're starting something new.
I am, yes, the next book. Well, I better get it approved by the publisher first. Otherwise, that will be one of my mistakes.
Small detail.
Yes, I'm taking part in Bournemouth Writing Festival in April, and then Beyond the Page Festival in Brighton in May. So I've got those coming up. And yes, I really need to get my head down and write this next book, as it's due in October, and I'm not that fast a writer. So they're my main things. Yes, and more promotion for The Mother of All Comebacks. And if anyone buys it, then I very much hope you enjoy it.
There it is, Mother of All Comebacks. We'll put links in the show notes so you can check it out. Definitely worth reading. Absolutely, 100%. So thank you very much for joining us, Kathleen. Just a couple of things as well. My absolute pleasure. We were talking earlier about Comic-Cons as well. I just want to say also, I forgot to say thank you to Richie Cave, who brought me a box of Krispy Kreme donuts to the Comic-Con at Peterborough. I'm just going to give his book a plug, Zippo, a Soho story. Me giving the plug and the donuts might be related, who knows? But I'm going to say that there we go, Zippo, there we go, check it out. I'll put a link in the show notes as well if you come to that. Also, for our next episode, we're going to have the brilliant Karen Story join us. Fantastic. Monday, 13th of April, 8 p.m. BST, British Summertime. So if you're coming from internationally, the times might be a bit different. She's the author of the brilliant debut novel, The Approval of Sheep. She's a very prolific story writer and a prize-winning author, and her newsletter is written by her cat, Tiffany. There's Tiffany there. So do join us then, Monday, 13th of April, 8 p.m. BST. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, things like ratings, reviews, all that stuff, shares, makes a huge, huge difference to those weird algorithms. But more importantly, if you can just tell one person about this podcast, that will make the biggest difference of all. Word of mouth is the best marketing there is. And that's it. We'll wrap things up. Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, happy writing, reading, and being different. Let's play that jingle while we wave goodbye.
Thank you.